There's three very important considerations to understand what happened. There's no such thing as Election Day anymore. Early voting starts. That's reason number one. The financial disparity between the Democrats and Republicans is still enormous, particularly at the top of the ticket. Number three is the need to win independent voters by seizing on winning wedge issues and fighting for them with every breath that you have. Democrats do this, Republicans don't.
That was former White House senior advisor Stephen Miller joining me yesterday on Sunday Morning Futures, explaining how he sees what took place this week. The Democrats will maintain control of the Senate. Republicans need at least 6 seats for control of the House. Meanwhile, there are currently 19 seats left to play in the House and 1 seat up for grabs in the Senate. That December runoff election in Georgia. Joining me right now is Wisconsin Congressman Bryan Steil. Congressman, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for being here. You heard what Stephen Miller had to say about the midterm elections. What's your reaction to the midterms?
Well, I'm still really hopeful that we're going to get to 218 votes in the House with Republicans so we can take away the Speaker's gavel from Nancy Pelosi. It's going to be absolutely essential to end the economic ruin that one-party Democratic control has foisted upon the American people. But let me tell you, we got a lot of work ahead of us because there's huge challenges. We still have rising inflation. Families are struggling to afford the things that they need. Crime is on the rise. We got schools that are failing. So we got big challenges in front of us, but I'm still optimistic that we're going to take back the House here in 2 months.
Well, it's pretty extraordinary that we didn't see more of a Republican win here, given these issues that people talk about every day and the fact that 75% of voters say the economy's on the wrong track, that the president is on the wrong track. Fox News voter analysis finds 78% of Americans say that the economy is either in not good or in poor condition. President Biden, though, says he has no plans to change anything. He's going to stick with this agenda. He claims more Americans finding out about his policies make them supportive, Congressman.
Yeah, this is darn frustrating, but I'll tell you, he just passed through $6.8 trillion of new spending over the last 2 years. And if Republicans ultimately get to 218 or more votes, we're going to be able to put a stop to that on day one. So we are going to be able to dramatically alter the policies that we've seen under one-party Democratic control. That said, I think a lot of people took the bait and didn't talk about the economy and the challenges that we're facing and the solutions that we have to address them in the future. The mainstream and legacy media wanted to talk about anything other than the economy. The politicians that went out and spoke about how we're going to unleash American energy, about how we're going to stop the reckless spending, about how we're going to address rising crime, those folks found themselves successful on Tuesday. Folks that took the bait, talked about anything other than that, allowed the media to drive the narrative about the challenges we face, but not about the challenges we face, but about other things. Those are the folks, I think, that came up on the losing side of this. It reminds us once again, we got to get to work to get our country and our economy back on track, Maria.
Well, all of this, as you know, President Biden continues to spew out misinformation, downright lies. I mean, weeks ago, he told us that there was a tentative strike for the railroad unions, and yet unions are rejecting that plan. A railroad strike could happen in early December. 4 major unions agreed to coordinate a potential strike date. One union planning to strike just days before Thanksgiving, but then agreed to delay it, Congressman. So, I mean, once we get a rail strike, if that's going to materialize, what does that do to an already weak situation for the economy?
Yeah, we already got almost every light blinking here on the screen about the economic situation that we're in. About 30% of our goods move on rail. In the state of Wisconsin, where I'm from, during the harvest here in the fall, rail becomes all the more important to make sure we're getting those goods to market. We have a huge problem if the rail situation isn't resolved. But what we really see once again is before the election, we saw a lot of promises that the rail was done. We now know it's not. We saw promises related to student loans. Now we have a court coming and saying you can't do that. That's not constitutional. So we saw a lot of bait and switch going into the election. We warned people about this, but not everybody heard that warning, Maria.
He did the same thing with the vaccines. Mandate for the vaccine, the mask wearing, all of this stuff he knew was unconstitutional, but he came out with it anyway, causing lots of chaos in the economy and for families.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, we saw student loans. You saw it with the vaccine, like you're talking about. You saw promises related to the railroad situation. This is where it's so frustrating that we didn't do a better job getting our message out in some of these key races around the country. But in some places we did. We were successful in explaining the economic situation that we're in. I'm still optimistic we're going to get to 218 votes. Just getting to 218 votes in the House of Representatives can stop a lot of the worst economic policies that we've seen this administration push over the course of the last 2 years.
All right, we'll see about that. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Good to see you.